DDS. From the DDS studios, we are your hosts, Blake Milton, Bradley Newberry, and coming to us by phone today, it is Matthew Two-Tone Blue Parker. Parker, what parking lot did you find?
I-24, or not 24, what is this, 475? I don't know, but the interstate's basically a parking lot because I am creeping along near Atlanta at rush hour.
Boom. Everybody's got to love Atlanta at rush hour. I can tell you what else they're not liking right now in rush hour, which is what we're going to talk about today, and that is their new free agent quarterback. We're going to be talking about the 7 new free agent quarterbacks and how they're doing with their new teams. We're going to give them a ranking today, Newberry.
Creeping along like that game on Amazon Prime Video.
Absolutely. We're going to get into all that. But first, guys, go ahead down below, click the like and subscribe button there on YouTube. Give us a follow on all of our social media, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter at DDS Sports Talk. Go ahead and download the audio versions of these podcasts on your favorite podcasting platform. Newberry, we're going to jump right into it.
Why not? We've got 7. We'll try to take about 10 minutes here. We'll talk about them. We'll rank them. Matt Ryan right here in the AFC South. Indianapolis Colts. Are the Colts loving him? Parker?
No, he's washed. He throws wounded ducks to defenders. No, I mean, I have a feeling my answer's going to be no on all these people. But no, they don't love him. There's nothing else to say it. He's washed. He sucks. He's worse than Big Ben was last
Old Man Ryan?
Yeah, I mean, you said it. Old Man Ryan, we've been saying this whole time that he's like a freaking statue back there. He's been sacked 21 times so far this season already. And what's worse, he's fumbled the ball 11 times already this year, which to this point in the season is a record since I started keeping up with these stats in 1970, I do believe. But not very good. His offense doesn't help that his offensive line isn't very good. The ownership there in Indianapolis is getting very impatient.
I mean, it's all his fault anyway. I mean, he's got no one to blame but himself. And this is, the bed that they made, man, I don't think that they regret it. I just think that they absolutely hate it right now.
Yep.
But the only way that you can do it the right way is if you actually draft one and develop one, and they're not doing that, Parker.
Yeah, that's what's beautiful about this. They have a team that's so bad, they should be drafting the top 5 and getting their quarterback. But somehow they keep making these wins, and they're going to end up with about 7 wins, and they're just going to be in that purgatory of drafting like 13th, and until they sell out to move up, they're just going to keep having these recycled guys over and over.
Yeah, it's bad. Really, really bad. Right now he's got a 65.6 completion rating, 5 touchdowns, 7 interceptions with a 79.8 rating.
They should be winless.
Yeah, the game last night, we'll get into it a little more too whenever we start talking about the next guy here. Actually, let's just go ahead and talk about him. We'll talk about him right now, actually.
Russell Wilson and the Denver Broncos. I mean, I think it's still too early, but you can't fall behind in the AFC West. It's a little bit different than the AFC South, Parker.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you right now, if y'all were putting a ranking on these guys, this guy's dead last. Because they gave up they gave up the franchise for this guy. They have 2 1s, 2 2s, a 3, a 5, 3 players, and $250 million. And they can't score. They cannot score. I know it's a new system. I know it's a new coach. But, hey, there's a reason why Seattle looks like they are on top of the world with Geno Smith right now.
I mean, you said it. There's just not enough offense, not enough scoring going on here. I mean, Parker, I know you've been dealing with some stuff and you didn't necessarily get to watch it, but Newberry, watching the game last night, both of these guys really, but I felt like Russell Wilson, he almost seemed like he was scared to throw the
ball. I think even without Parker watching it, he probably knows what happened. I mean, Gus Bradley was dropping his defenders 30 yards back. He had nowhere to throw deep, so then it made it appear as if he was indecisive when all along you should have gone with a short passing game. It's just a bad scheme, I think, last night.
Yeah, and even whenever he would throw a decent pass, then they would drop it. No running game. It's just awful.
It is. Well, he's traditionally can't throw over the middle of the field anyway, over those short passes, because he's short. It's been his knock the entire time. The coaching staff there is bad. The reason I'm usually Mr. Go for it on 4th down, because that's what the analytics said. But last night, why didn't they kick that field goal at the end of the game, go up by 6 instead of trying to go for the touchdown? Because the way everybody's moving the ball, that game is over. I was talking to your brother last night, Bradley. He called me at the end of the fourth quarter when I was driving, and I was like, hey, man, I'm listening to the game. You're interrupting it, so you need to give me a play-by-play. And we sat there and talked for about 15 minutes. I was like, what the hell, man? You're not telling me anything.
It's because nothing's happening.
Nothing has happened.
It was awful. I was telling these guys on the text thread that because Parker was saying he didn't get to watch it, he was just listening. I said, yeah, the punter for Indianapolis punted 5 times in the first quarter.
It was punt, 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 field goal, punt, 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 punt. I was like,
they had 7 punts. 7.
I learned one thing from that game last night is that their punter is left-footed because that's all they kept referencing on the radio. They're like, and the left footer back to kick it again.
Yeah, I mean, as far as his stats, 59.4 completion rate percentage, 4 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, 82.8 rating. I think that the rating is a little bit misleading there, just because to say that this offense is pedestrian is being very kind, and just watching these two teams go together or play each other head to head, Amazon Prime. It was the most boring game. It was the most hard to watch game that I've ever seen.
Well, that could be something to even revisit at a later date, because these ratings nowadays, we can look at this. The NFL is made to pass, right? Last year, 12 quarterbacks ended the season with a rating of more than 100. So to only be in the low 80s nowadays is not very good.
No.
Stay tuned to next week's Amazon Prime. Washington Commanders at Chicago Bears.
Oh, Jesus Lord, oh, Lord.
27 is going to be the total.
All right.
Oh, and the news isn't getting better for Denver. They lost their starting left tackle for the year last night. He's out.
Good grief.
Baker Mayfield and the Carolina Panthers, nothing short of a disaster, Parker.
Yeah, to everything I've said nice about Baker and about how he needed to get traded, I was cheering for him. Take all that back. He's terrible.
It's bad.
Just go back to last year when I roasted him and reinsert that, because he is probably the 38th best quarterback in the league.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the numbers: 54.7 completion percentage. Good Lord, that's terrible. 4 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, 75 rating. Look, I'm not a Baker guy. I was all for him getting out of the mess in Cleveland, but he has officially been too Cleveland up, and it's just following him everywhere he's going. He's not having a successful season. You hate to see it.
But the guy in Cleveland that we can talk about, Jacoby Brissett, I think he's doing just about as much as he can.
Yeah, I mean, you look at these guys there, and I mean, he's 64.6% completion percentage, 4 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, 87.1 rating. Nothing that really jumps out at you as good or bad.
Just manage the game, yeah. Jacoby.
And that's kind of
let Nick Chubb run.
Exactly. Well, Kareem, you said that. It's funny because, he might be the only guy on this entire list here that has a reasonable or an above average running game, which, I mean, it absolutely is going to help a quarterback out.
And I absolutely love this, because this is what I was hoping for. I want Jacoby to come in there, play well, and hand it over, and be in playoff completion. What was that? Be in playoff contention, hand the keys over to Deshaun, and just let it sink.
Yeah, I mean, you called it. You wanted to see that, and by God, you might get it. And I think it's going to be great entertainment for all, just to watch the collapse that's going to happen in Cleveland if they try to do that.
Staying in the AFC North. Little changing of the guard this week. Well, actually, it started late last week in Pittsburgh. We're going to bring up Mitch Trubisky, but the real story there is now it's time for the rook. And so by default, that means it was a so what answer with the Mitch Trubisky garbage signing.
Yep, I totally agree. I mean,
you should have started the rook from the beginning.
59.5 completion percentage, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, 73.7 rating. I mean, we kind of all saw this coming.
It was a waste of time. You should have started.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it was. But the great thing is now is we get to hear all kinds of great stuff about Tiny Hands Pickett from our very own Matthew Two-Tone Blue Parker.
Don't worry, fellas. I'll be breaking all that down. But this is an upgrade, because Trubisky is bad. And And they should go ahead and make this change because with Trubisky, you know what you're getting, right? Like, we just know what our baseline's going to be. And Pickett might be better. He might be worse. So let's throw him in there and see what he's going to do. But we all knew what he was going to be just to go there. Just like Bradley said, he was a placeholder. But you know what? They paid him like $6 million a year and not $250 million like Denver is filling out.
Yep. Steelers have Najee Duval.
Najee Duval.
The Colts, remember, when he's healthy, they have Jonathan Taylor.
Yep.
Mentioning running
when
game.
He's healthy. Naheem Hines isn't going to be back for a few weeks probably.
No.
Due to concussion protocols.
Commanders. Here we go with the Carson Wentz thing.
I mean, I don't envy any team that ever ends up getting stuck with Carson Wentz.
They did it to themselves.
I know, but I don't know how it keeps happening.
I think they wanted Russell.
How you think they were trying to set everything up for a big 4-way trade or whatever? But my thing is it's like it always seems to happen that no matter how many examples there are of why people don't need to take on Carson Wentz as a starting quarterback, they just still do it. I don't get it, Parker.
No, it makes no sense, but I will say of every quarterback on this list, if you told me the gun to my head I had to have one that was my starting quarterback, it would be Carson Wentz with how they played at this moment. I mean, seriously, look at it.
Yeah, 62.2 completion percentage, 8 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, 82.3 rating. He's also been sacked 17 times.
Yeah, he might throw it backwards and upside down and do Carson Wentz thing, but he also can YOLO the ball. You know, I mean, I don't want him. Don't get me wrong here. I'm just saying, if I had to.
Yeah, I mean, to put a gun to anybody's head on any of these guys on this team on this list here, it's going to be difficult, Newberry.
I'm picking Russell Wilson, even though it looks like he's completely done. I can't tell if it's the player or the scheme yet.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's between Jacoby and Russell for sure.
The whole Russell thing. I mean, I was on board. I was team Russell to come here, but like, man, what you had to give up to get him to how he looks, and it's not just that he looks bad. Like, I understand, like I said, the new scheme, but like you just said it, Brad, he looks bad, and we all thought Seattle was going to be just awful, and they bring in Geno Smith at his ninth year, and he looks like an all-pro. So he looks washed.
Geno was there. He was already in the system.
Yep.
Marcus Mariota.
Yep.
We don't want to forget him. Down in Atlanta. He may be a placeholder too. Probably is. Yeah, I just don't know if he's a placeholder to the rookie or not. I don't know if they have their long-term answer yet.
I mean, who knows? But I mean, I think that Mariota has kind of accepted his role in all this too, because I think he's actually made some comments in the past that, you know, he's here to teach whoever he needs to teach, you know, as much as he possibly can or whatever. 58.2 completion percentage, 3 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, 76.9 rating. Very Marcus Mariota like numbers there, Parker.
Yeah, 7. That's the number of passes he completed last week. 7. It's Marcus. Yeah, he's going to be the nice guy. That's why he always gives him an extra chance. He's a great backup, and he's a placeholder to Ritter because I will stand on this hill till I die. Marcus will be knocked out within the next 2 to 3 weeks. He just cannot play a season.
Fair enough.
How do we put a bow on this?
Man, it's very. I think it's going to be very difficult to actually rate them 1 to 7.
Well, give me your best and worst.
I think you do top 3 and bottom 4. That way you can do the top 3. I know, but look, you can do top 3, 1 through 3, and then bottom 4 in no particular order. Because there's like 3 or 4 of these guys that I wouldn't ever want, ever.
Based just on their play, like with no priors, the top in my mind. There's a top 2, and that's going to be Marcus and Jacoby. Just like on this season alone, if we're just closing the blinders on everything, not talking about moving forward, but talking about what they have done to this point, those are the 2 in my book.
Well, I mean, so my top 3, I've got Marcus, Jacoby, and Russell in that order. And the rest of them, I don't really care to ever have them anywhere near the quarterback position. At least with Marcus, I know what I'm going to get just because we've lived through it.
I mean, for me, there was only one that even liked, and that was Jacoby Brissett for keeping it afloat.
Yeah. He's a game manager.
I mean, everything else is just
garbage.
A waste of money. I mean, I know Denver's hopeful because they have to be. I mean, Parker mentioned it. He gave you all the stats. He gave you what they gave him. They gave up everything.
Yeah.
You can't go out and draft his replacement. Nope. That's the good thing about these other teams. They haven't given up a lot. So, but that just shows you going out and getting that quarterback. Is it guaranteed?
It's not a fruitful venture. I totally agree. That's I think that's where you're kind of getting at, is that it's not always worth going out there and throwing $250 million at a Russell Wilson, which is what a lot of people were screaming for here in Nashville. I think I was one of them.
This was an interesting year because we had a lot of wide receivers and quarterbacks moving. The quarterbacks didn't seem to make a difference, but the wide receivers did. And I just think it's a super interesting to look at that.
Totally.
Maybe you'll look at that sometime soon.
Maybe we do a little wide receiver ranking here.
But for now, it's time for our weekly college pick six. The UT Vols visiting LSU. If you want the Vols, you have to lay 3 points on the road. Parker, what you got?
Man, this game terrifies me, mainly for the point of next week. I really want to roll into Bama and it just be, number 1 versus number 5 or 6 at that time. But what this game's going to come down to is, can LSU pass the ball? Because they have not been able to throw it downfield. LSU has been a running team. And the Vols are really good at stopping that. They are awful in the bottom 80 of pass defense. So if LSU can pass the ball deep, which I highly doubt they can, but if they can, LSU will win this game.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's going to come down. I mean, we all know that Tennessee's offense is going to score points. They kind of live and die by that. But this defense, like you said, they're really good at stopping the run, but they are not very good at stopping the pass. I'm not as much of an X's and O's guys to tell you as to why that is, but it always seems to be the case for Tennessee teams. It seems to be a hallmark no matter who the coach is. But this LSU team, they can't pass the ball. I don't understand it. Now in past scenarios like this, Tennessee always kind of seems to be the get right game for teams that are having trouble passing. Florida being the most recent one with Anthony Richardson. He had a very, very good breakout game against us. That all being said, unless I look at it this way, bottom line, if you can't score 30 points, I don't think you can beat this Tennessee team. And I don't think this LSU team can beat them. Give me those points, or give me the Tennessee in the 3.
I look at it like strictly from a betting perspective. And whenever I see the key number 3, Parker, that's telling me that if you put them on a neutral field, UT's about 6 to 7 point favorite.
Mm-hmm. And is Death Valley really
not at 11 o'clock?
11 or 12 o'clock in the afternoon. It's not the same place.
I'm going with the team that had the bye. I'm going with who I believe is the better coach. I'm going with I know is the better quarterback. Give me the Vols -3.
I do think LSU probably has the better coach. Vols are going to be without their best player and Cedric Tillman again. You mentioned that key number 3. So looking at it from a betting perspective, what I look at is LSU's game last week. They should not have beat Auburn. At an advanced box score, they lose that game 92% of the time. They should have lost that game by 13 points. If they would have lost that game, Tennessee would have been favored by 7, which is what they should be favored. So give me the Vols -3.
Boom.
Game number 2, Missouri making a trip down to the swamp, looking to play spoiler in the SEC East against the Florida Gators. If you want the Gators, you have to lay 10.5 points. It's kind of a scary proposition with a team that has not really found their identity at all.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I don't think Missouri has a snowball's chance in the swamp to beat them. 10.5 makes me a little nervous for the reasons you just said. I mean, they really haven't found their identity, but I think what it's going to come down to is I think Florida's got way too many athletes. I think that they're way too much. There's way too much talent on that Florida sideline to let someone the likes of Missouri sneak up on them. 10.5, though, it makes me pause.
Looking at it, Missouri's schedule. So 2 weeks ago, they lose a heartbreaker in overtime to Auburn. Last week, they go the distance with Georgia. This team is spent. This team is gassed. Florida is just had a bye week against Eastern Washington State University. Give me the Gators minus 21. I don't care. The Gators are going to roll.
I mean, I'm with Florida. I just seeing that point spread makes me nervous as heck, but I got no reason to pick against them this week. I'm taking Florida minus 10.5.
Totally agree. It makes me pause, but then again, I have to stop and think this is the team that shouldn't be in the SEC.
Oh, a little slap on the way out there.
Yep. Jeez. Take that little jab there on the way out the door.
We'll let Parker start with this one because we're going to the B1G, Iowa, at who the hell is this team? Illinois?
Oh, I don't know.
A 3.5 point favorite, Parker.
You know what? Iowa allows less than 5 yards per pass attempt. Illinois allows less than 5 yards pass per attempt. The only two teams in the country that do that are playing against each other. But man, I don't know. The voodoo of Iowa has got me perplexed. I feel like I can always come into these with a really good idea of what to do. So just give me the Hawkeyes. I don't even know what to do with it. I'll just take Iowa.
You know, I have the same hesitation and the same voodoo about Iowa as Parker does, because it seems like every time I choose against them, they end up pulling some shit out of their ass and just absolutely shoving on guys. But I gotta go. I mean, I think the smart thing here has got to be Illinois, isn't it? Give me Illinois.
I think the smart thing is don't even bet this game. Jeez.
Just take the under and run.
Exactly.
I mean, Illinois feels like they got a lot of momentum here. Iowa just played, what was it, Michigan last week? I mean, with a gun to my head, I guess I'm going home team, Illinois minus 3.5, but I want to stay away.
Yeah,
I do think Illinois' schedule coming up gets really difficult. And just you're talking about the juju of the voodoo of Iowa. Last week for Iowa to go, but a lot of people had them under their point total. For them to go over, they went over by 1 point. Iowa had 2 touchdowns that they intercepted and ran back for touchdowns. And they had a long field goal at the end of the game, hit off the goalpost and go in. All that had to happen for them to go over. There's just something about this Iowa team that just every year, it's just every single year.
Screw it.
ACC time, Florida State at NC State. NC State 3-point favorites.
Yeah.
The Wolfpack.
I've been very bullish on NC State all year. I was not really all that optimistic about FSU in the preseason. They've had a pretty good year so far, but I think that this NC State team has got too good of an offense. So I'm going NC State minus 3.
They've got a pretty good defense too, Parker.
Yeah, they do. I look for them to bounce back. I think so. I think Florida State's heading the right direction as well. Just next year's the year. We broke that down kind of in the early one. Give me NC State on that just to bounce back after that class.
All right. Yep. All of us clean sweep. All of us taking NC State minus 3. Best bet time. We can pick whatever we want.
Yep. I'm going to start off here because I'm going to say that, and I'm not giving up on this, Bama is going to absolutely trounce the fraudulent Texas A&M Aggies. Went out on a limb for them last year, the A&M Aggies, that is. They made me look like a jackass. And I'm just going to tell you right now, I hope Bama beats them by 130.
I just heard the guy from Happy Gilmore screaming that off the beach in my head. And right before you guys called me, this is not my best bet, but I want to follow up on this. I just got talking to a Bama fan, and I just wanted to tell him they are going to slaughter A&M. It might be 35-0 at halftime. With what they said before the game, Nick Saban wants to absolutely murder. Like in Jimbo's coaching career. Like he is going to beat the absolute tar off of him. And if you go back and you look at when he's got a revenge game where he lost the year before, he's had it happen like 14 or 15 times and only not covered it like 3 times. So he is just going to absolutely trounce him. I think it's a really good call.
Yeah. Ooh, I'm going to a matchup of undefeated teams. TCU 4-0 at 5-0 Kansas. College game day will be there. Parker, the home team, is the dog. Give me Kansas to win.
Oh,
or at least just cover. I get 6.5 points. Give me Kansas in the 6.5.
Then I'm going to do it then, baby. Give me the college game day. Give me the Horned Frogs. And give me -6.5.
Wow.
I'm going to go against you on this one. The magic ends here. Last week, Kansas struggled to score against a 3-3-5 defense. TCU plays the exact same defense. I just think this is it. I think TCU is a top 15 team. This is why we picked them last week, to straight up beat Oklahoma, and they just destroyed them. I think TCU. I think they cover this number easily.
Wow.
I think TCU's sleepwalking. They beat Oklahoma and they think this one's a given.
No, now you could absolutely be right about that. That's the one thing I almost got me away from this. And they've got a big game next week. I think the whole undefeated thing and the college game day atmosphere is going to kind of negate that of like one of those sandwich sleepy spot type games. It's the only reason I'm going that way.
Yeah. College underdog time. It was pretty easy for me to pick this one. I think Blake's going to tail me on it, but I look at the Hurricanes, and if Middle Tennessee State can go in there and win, then the team that I picked to win in the ACC, whatever conference it was, Atlantic, the University of North Carolina Tar Heels will win straight up against the Hurricanes.
Yep, the downward spiral is going to continue down there at South Beach, I think. I've got UNC as well upsetting Miami.
Well, y'all are probably going to be right on that if MTSU can do it, right? That's like Bradley was saying. Here it is, guys. I've been waiting to pounce and waiting for this team's downfall, and this is it. It is time to get off the Kentucky train, because South Carolina is going to hand it to Mayo Boy, and they are going to straight up beat this fraudulent Wildcat team.
Whoa, we looked at this one.
Oh, Lord. I love that.
Kentucky, they're looking for answers. Oh, can they find them in 1 week's time?
Nah, whatever. Will Levis is overrated, and you're right. If Spencer Rattler comes in there with his best stuff, they could very well rock Kroger Field. They're in
it doesn't matter if they're in Kroger Field, Publix Park, Walmart parking lot,
dropping the ball.
And Levis may not play, so even if he plays, I don't really care. But if he doesn't, it's a true freshman that's going to be under center. So yeah, give me South Carolina all day long.
Should be fun. It's going to be a long day of college football tomorrow. Good Lord.
It is. A lot of texting.
All right, transition time. NFL pick 6.
All right.
Oh, doggy. The hometown Tennessee Titans are on the road again. And they're going to go see a familiar foe in Carson Wentz. If you want the Titans, you have to give the home team 2 points, Parker. What do you think?
How at this point can it? I mean, let's just forget the numbers. How at this point can you bet on Carson Wentz? Like seriously, I just don't. I don't understand it. I'll tell you right now that Wentz has faced Vrabel over the years 3 times. He's 0-3 against the spread. Washington's awful. Just give me the Titans, and yeah, I mean that's as simple as that. Washington's just bad. I can't take them. Doesn't matter what the line is.
I'm with him on this one. I just don't see how this happens. I don't care how bad the play calling has been, how bad the offensive line has been. I just don't see Washington being able to get it done against the Titans. Give me the Titans.
I mean, this game for me comes down to one player, and it should. Don't overthink this. Derrick freaking Henry.
Yeah.
Give me the Titans
Make
minus
it
2.
easy on yourself. He's asking for the team to jump on his back.
Titans minus 2. Next game, Houston at Jacksonville. Here we go with this spread. The Jacksonville Jaguars are giving 7 points to an NFL team. Or, Blake, is this an NFL team?
I don't know. I kind of argue that I was kind of shocked. I thought it might have been a little low. I see Jacksonville as rising, and I see Houston as falling. I don't know. I mean, I think it's a pretty easy pick in my opinion. I think you go Trevor Lawrence and the Jaguars all day with that 7 points.
This is why I love when we don't talk about these things, when we have like differing opinions. It's great to be able to bounce them off. And I think the exact opposite. I think it's a divisional game, and 7 points blows my mind. And I don't know that Jacksonville's good. I really don't. We talked about this last week. They made Carson Wentz look amazing. They beat up Herbert. They played in a Philly game in the rain, and their quarterback had more fumbles than anybody in the last 30 years in the history of the NFL. That, I just don't know. 7 points divisional game. I don't care if you're the freaking, Patriots of old playing against the Bills of old. I will always take the points when it's this many. Give me the Texans and the 7 all day long.
Man.
Bear with me here. I'm going to try to find you a stat about the Texans here.
Our resident Jacksonville Jaguars aficionado.
I wanted to just get it right because it's something ridiculous. I'm not going to.
They're bad. While you're looking, they are bad. Texans are horrible. These teams, they see each other twice a year, every single year for the last, X amount of years. That's backdoor cover. I mean, Jacksonville could be up by 14 and be playing prevent at the end. It just feels like
found it. The Houston Texans have won 19 out of the last 23 meetings against the Jags.
I might be alone on this one, folks.
A lot of that, I guess, was with Deshaun Watson.
Yeah.
But the Texans, it says, are 50-40 against the spread after 2 or more consecutive losses. The Jaguars are 9-15 against the spread as favorites of 6.5 or more. That's why it scares me. It's a lot of points in the NFL, man.
It's a ton.
There's no way I got to take the Jags. I mean, I'm not.
He doesn't want to do it.
I'm not against picking against my team, but I'm like, this is your chance to just go ahead and
take that step forward, man. Blow somebody out.
Oh, just go ahead and go 2-0 in the AFC South right here. You've already got the win over the Colts.
Blow them out. They're a bad team.
You got the win over the Colts. Get the Texans.
Show them you're not a bad team anymore.
Stop losing to the Texans.
Yeah. Stop the cycle.
Like, this changes the narrative for this team. Like, if they go 3-2, because this locker room believes right now, they go 3-2 and it's, oh my God, we're a team. If it's, oh my, we lose to the Texans again, crap. Are we just the same Jags? So this is a massive game.
It is. That's crazy.
I do agree with
crazy. It feels like a big game.
Yep.
Dallas makes a trip to LA. We got the Cowboys and Rams, and it's still not Dak, right?
No, not Dak.
The Rams
still Cooper
5.5.
The redheaded bandit, Cooper Rush. I gotta tell you, man, I'm becoming more and more of a Cooper Rush fan. I mean, he ain't anything special. Don't get me wrong, but he gets the job done, right? Rams 5.5. That seems like a big number to me. I don't know that the Cowboys win, but I'm thinking that 5.5 might be a little rich for me. Give me the Dallas and the points.
Does someone have access to a computer? Pull up Dallas' schedule for me real quick.
Yeah, Blake's got it.
I'll
go ahead and get my pick then, because I'm also taking the points in this game. I'm gonna be watching Jalen Ramsey in this game, to be honest with you. I mean, we're starting to get a little bit of pouty pout. I mean, I'm starting to see some attitude on the Rams sideline there, and if CD Lamb can get by him 1 or 2 times, then my afternoon is fulfilled. Give me Dallas plus 5.5.
Sorry, fellas, I'd have pulled that up. I'm sitting on the interstate. Who are the last 2 teams that Dallas beat there? Last 2 teams.
Last 2 teams.
All right.
We got Commanders Commanders, yeah,
and
Commanders
the Bengals.
and the Bengals.
Okay, so
No, Commanders and the Giants.
Yes, that's it. Commanders and the Giants. So around, y'all didn't say this, but around, I listened to a lot of stuff. They're calling like, oh, is there a Cooper Dak controversy? Let's just stop it. Let's just stop it.
Yeah.
Because Cooper came, he beat Washington. Oh, congratulations. You beat the Giants. Congratulations. You play against the Bengals, and yeah, you look good for the first quarter. Then they do some actual things and change some stuff, and you literally do nothing for the final 3 quarters. This is the time to sell. They are going in to play at SoFi against the Super Bowl champions with Ramsey, with Donald, with a pissed off team. They are getting this. This is a Dak Prescott number. Give me the Rams to win this by double digits.
Wow.
Cooper Kupp against Diggs. Is Diggs ready?
Yeah, no.
Yeah,
no one's ready against that. They're going to absolutely torch him. I mean, it's going to be unbelievable because I do have faith that Ramsey can shut down CD and there's nowhere else to go. And it's Cooper Rush. Think about it, y'all. It's Cooper Rush against Matthew Stafford in SoFi. I just can't. I can't.
Did you take Dallas? Is that what
I
you
took
did?
Dallas in the points because I want to see Jalen Ramsey throw his hands up in the air whenever CD Lamb gets by him.
You mean Toast Ramsey?
I'm still calling him Jalen.
Every
Jalen
time
Ramsey.
I turn the game on, a game that he's playing, he's always getting burnt. So
I do have it on good authority that Jalen Ramsey's family spotted in a bunch of Titans gear.
Okay.
What do we got? Oh, we're going to go to the primetime game. A little Cincinnati Bengals at Baltimore Ravens. If you want the home team, you're still laying 3.5 points with the Ravens. I mean, we've been talking about Cincinnati's O-line or lack thereof all year.
Yeah. And Baltimore's pissed right now. Yeah, after the way that game ended last week. I think they've got a major case of the red ass here. I think the Bengals continue to have problems on their O-line. And the regression is still a real thing that Parker's always been talking about. And I think it continues here. And I've got Baltimore with this 3.5.
Baltimore should be 4-0. The 2 games Baltimore lost, they were up by 17 points. The 75 previous games before that, they won in that situation. This is not going to happen again. Lamar is going to Lamar and continue his MVP season, and they're going to crush the Bengals. This is just a really bad spot for the Bengals, and I feel sorry for them because Baltimore is just going to annihilate them, I believe.
I'm going the other way.
Okay.
I'm going Cincinnati. Give me the 3.5 points. I see there is a universe that has Cincinnati winning this game outright. They've played well against Baltimore as of late. Believe me, I know about the offensive line woes. The key to this game is contain Lamar. If you're going to let him run for 200 yards, you're in trouble. You want that guy either handing it off or passing the ball. So I'm going to roll the dice and take the 3.5 points with Cincinnati.
And it may be the smart pick because Cincinnati whipped Baltimore twice last year. And Rashad Bateman's out. They made him throw it, and Bateman's going to be out this game. That means it's going to be a Mark Andrews and Devin Duvernay type game. That's just last year when these comments always come back to hurt you. Last year when Burrow won a game finally won a game in Baltimore, he goes, it's not. He goes, yeah, we've been doing good, but it's nice to win here in Baltimore. We are who we thought we were as a football team. I can guarantee that's floating around in Baltimore somewhere. And afterwards, he's going to know who they think they are, and they're going to be a terrible, terrible team compared to what they were last year.
Oops. Yep. Best bet time. We can bet whatever we want, even props. Parker tried one last week, and I'm gonna pick on the Panthers a little bit here. San Francisco making the big trip. I don't even know if that's a big deal anymore. San Francisco is clearly in a different class than the Carolina Panthers. I know you have to give up 6.5. I'm not sure if Carolina scores 6.5 points this game, I mean, I see something like San Fran 24-6. I'm taking the 49ers in my best bet.
You should run over and bet that exact score right now.
You can on all your favorite betting platforms.
Carolina is awful. You're absolutely right. And I am going to go to the pick market, to the player prop market one more time, and I'm going to go with a player. I'm going to give him one chance. This is it. I'm going to put my faith in Tiny Two Hands Pickett.
Oh.
Because last week, so one of the best young rookies on that team is George Pickens. They don't target him. But what happens when Pickett came in?
He throws him the ball.
He throws him the ball. Right now, that player prop line is at 40 yards for Pickens. Go get it. This is the only game you're going to be able to get this under 60 because that is his receiver. That's his number one guy. He's going to toss it to him. There's going to be a negative game script. Pittsburgh is underdogs by 14 points. It's the largest in the history of the Pittsburgh Steelers organization. They're going to be tossing the ball. Lock it in. Pickens over 40 yards receiving.
What an amazing segue into my best bet, because the exact same game, I agree with you for the most part. Maybe I don't. I don't know. But I think Buffalo is absolutely going to murder them. I think Pickett is going to have a rude awakening in this game, a welcome to the NFL kind of game. And I think Buffalo is going to easily attain that 14 points, and I think it's going to be embarrassing.
So yours was the receiving prop bet over
40 yards over. And I hope you're right, Blake, because you know what that means? They're having to chuck the ball constantly, right?
Yep, that takes care of your bet.
So over 40.
And you're right. That's good. Yeah.
Because, I mean, they're going to be playing from behind, you would think. Also in that game, as long as weather's fine, I'd even look at a little receiving prop bet with Najee. Receptions, yards. If they have to get away with the running game quick, they can use him in the passing game too. Underdog time. Did you identify anything? Any underdogs that you're like, yep, they can win this week?
Yeah, I had look, New England's having a hard time right now. New England's having a hard time at the quarterback position. And I think
Zappy.
And
Parker Zappy.
I love Bailey Zappy.
I think that if Detroit is going to get a win, this is the time to do it. So I'm going Detroit over New England.
These are some tough ones this week. I don't know why it feels so hard to pick somebody to straight up win, but I'm going to go with maybe one of the best quarterbacks in the league. You're always good with going with one of those guys, and I'm going to say that our boy Geno Smith and the Seattle Seahawks roll in and whip up on some New Orleans.
They could, unless they shot their load in Detroit last week. Isn't this back-to-back roadies for them?
Yeah, I don't feel. There's not a game I feel great about. So give me the team that has a surprisingly good offense. Just maybe give me a shot at that. That's the only thing. The only reason I was really kind of going with that.
I'm going with a home team, and we mentioned this guy at the top of our show, Jacoby Brissett. I'm going with the dog pound. I mean the Brownies, Brownie the Elf. I'm going with the Cleveland Browns to straight up beat the Chargers. Myles Garrett, is he going to play?
Back.
I think he is back. He was miraculously in one piece after crashing his car a couple of weeks ago.
He probably was walking and crashed the other car.
And the Jaguars,
monster of a man.
The Jags beat up on both of their lines, so I can see him just walking right through this offensive line and maybe hurting Herbert a little more.
Yeah. I've been in the dark all week. I don't even really know. I mean, he's got to still be hurt like Herbert is. He's not 100%. So that's, absolutely.
There you go.
That's a show.
That is a show, guys. Really appreciate you joining us this afternoon for our weekly show. Appreciate you going ahead and hitting the like and subscribe button down there below. Leave in the comments what you think about our picks. Tell us what you think about these quarterbacks, these free agent quarterbacks that everybody spent all this money on. Is it a fruitful endeavor for teams to go after these kinds of quarterbacks in the offseason? Does it ever really pay off outside of the Tom Brady's and of the world? I mean, generational quarterbacks, right?
Drew Brees.
Generational quarterbacks, right? But anyways, guys, really appreciate it. Well, there you go. There's your argument right there.
Tannehill?
Yeah. Guys, final thoughts.
Oh man, that's a good. You know what? I'll be serious this week. Anybody's out there looking at that and has any extra, money to throw at any kind of South Florida fund to help out down there? Just came back from. A lot of people know Sanibel Island and Fort Myers Beach. Those places are no more and can use any type of support they can use.
Absolutely.
Jeez. My final thought is a hope. Duval, just win a game. Just win. If you want to be considered good, here we go. You get another opportunity.
That's a good
just beat the Texans at home.
Absolutely. My final thought is going to go out to the University of Tennessee, Big Orange, going down to Death Valley and whipping the absolute shit out of some Bayou Bengal Tigers, coming home with a victory. Stick with what you know. Play hard defense. Bend, don't break, baby. But as always, it is two-tone blue all the way. You guys be well.